Hello, we're across
Welcome.
the diamond, and welcome to episode 6 of Off-Season Grades NL East Edition. I'm one of your co-hosts, Andrew Manjares.
I'm your second co-host, Ryan McKinney,
So,
and today we're gonna do the NL East offseason grades.
sounds good, man. So to start, before we do that, we'll go ahead and get into the recent news. We got Nicky Lopez going to the White Sox on a one-year deal worth $4.3 million. Jack Flaherty heads his way back to Detroit after winning a World Series ring to the Dodgers after a deadline acquisition, which saw the Tigers actually trading them to the Dodgers. So it's kind of funny seeing him going back to Detroit on a 2-year deal worth 35 million. And then Danny Colombre, I always butcher his name.
I don't know it either, so
Yeah. He's going to Minnesota on a 1-year deal worth $3 million. The Yankees bring back Tim Hill on a 1-year deal worth $2.85 million. And then Ramon Laureano is heading to Baltimore on a 1-year deal worth $4 million. And then as of today, a couple, maybe like an hour or so before we started recording this podcast, Randall Grichuk goes back to Arizona. So we don't have any contract details out, but we for sure know that he's going back to Arizona. Out of all these recent moves, which one's your favorite so far, Ryan?
um either I mean obviously there's only two moves that are actual like really impactful. Randall Grigic to Arizona and then Jack Flaherty back to Detroit because it gives Detroit that solid two. Um but I really like Randall Grichuk to Arizona because I mean, if we pull up his numbers last season, he had a tremendous season. 291, 12 homers, had a 880 OPS. All the underlying metrics look incredible. And for a guy who used to be a platoon bat, like at the short end of the platoon, last season he proved he could hit both sides, righty and lefty. I mean, he was had a hard hit rate of 47.6%. I mean, he didn't qualify for any of these percentiles, but if we look at him, an xWOBA of 359, he whiffed and didn't strike out. Only had a 16.5 percent K rate, and he squared up the baseballs. I mean, I don't like to say that a guy who's 33 years old um kind of broke out, but he kind of redid break out after two platoon seasons in 22, 23, and that failure it was in Anaheim. It was good to see him do play well in 2024.
Yeah, man, we just went over to the Diamondbacks a few days ago and we were like, who's gonna hit against left-handed pitching? So it's good to see they bring back Grichuk for that platoon situation that's also kind of proving himself that he maybe can play every day as well. So I just think it's a safe bet to bring back Randall Grichuk. So good on the Diamondbacks, man. I can't wait to see more information on the contract details, see what they're paying him, and maybe if it's a multi-year deal. So we'll go ahead and see. One move I want to touch on is more of Tim Hill. I know Yankee fans were pretty excited to have him back. I know they were calling for the Yankees to bring him back in general. I mean, I don't really necessarily see the appeal of whether we have him or we don't. It's just I do want to highlight the stats he had in the second half as we traded for him at the deadline from the White Sox. But the Yankees, he pitched 35 games to a 2.05 ERA through 44 innings. And he had a 202 ERA plus with a 3.62 FIP. So it looks like he was getting a little bit lucky, but if you just want to count counting stats, I mean, outs are outs, and that's exactly what he did. He limited runs, and then give him actually. Let me look at his WHIP.
While you do that,
He had a
Randall
1 point.
Grichuk,
Go ahead.
I just want to bring you back to Randall Grichuk. He slugged, or against righties this year, his slash line was 242, 274, and a 527 slug compared to his 2023 numbers where he slashed 244, 294, and only a 400 slug. So that really puts into perspective his uptick in right-handed hitting this year against righties. So,
I don't think it's a comparison to left-handed pitching, but you do feel comfortable with him regardless of who's on the field.
I mean, he's a well
Yeah,
above placement level hitter
absolutely,
against right-handers last year. So
absolutely.
that's great.
He's kind of the Tyler O'Neill kind of S, but he can actually hit righties as well.
Yeah.
But give him a 1.023 whip on his second half with the Yankees. So I mean, pretty good. I mean, we bring back a lefty, kind of what we desperately needed anyway, as a Yankee fan, I suppose. But yeah, I mean that's cool. When I saw it, I was like, cool. You know what I mean? We'll see what kind of version of Tim Hill that we get because obviously he shows flashes of being good, like he just was in the second half. But on the year or just in Chicago alone, he had a 5.87 ERA but a 3.36 on the year. But if you want to go a year prior with the Padres, 5.48 ERA through 48 games. The year before, 3.56 through 55 games. I don't think the give him a 4.11 FIP on his career and a 3.99 ERA. So it's kind of actually true if you really look at the underlying metrics as well as just the regular metrics as well. But we'll see what Tim Hill kind of presents over there in the bullpen with the Yankees. See what kind of role he plays.
Yeah, so let's bring it on to the biggest move, Jack Flaherty. What role do you think he provides in Detroit, and how do you think what impact is he going to provide? Obviously, it was a one and one. Next year he's going to decline. It's 25 million this year, 10 million next. Um, so what role do you think he's going to provide over there, and what do you see his ceiling and his floor at for Detroit?
It's kind of hard to tell. Obviously, he's gonna pitch behind Skubal, that's for sure. It's just I don't know, man. I mean, Jack Flaherty had a good year last year, but I just don't know. It's kind of like a prove it deal. So he's looking to get a payday in a definitely a long term deal. How old is he? He's about 30, 31 maybe. Oh, he's 29.
Yeah, it's
He's
29.
29 all year, so he won't be 30 until October 15th. So if I just look at what his stats were with the time split between Detroit and LA. I mean, it's kind of he had a 2.95 ERA with Detroit through 18 games, and then through 10 games in LA, he had a 3.58 ERA.
Yeah, it was pretty consistent pre and post All-Star break. So,
He had a 3.12 FIP in Detroit with a 4.16 FIP in LA. So I don't really know if that's a testament to maybe he doesn't like playing on bigger teams, but it's I don't know how to explain it, man. Because Detroit's on the come up, so I just want to see
oh,
if that elevated pressure with Detroit kind of reverts back to that 4.16 FIP that we saw in LA.
he just lost a little bit of command in LA. I mean, 16 walks in 95 innings in Detroit, and only 22 or 20. I mean, 22 walks in 67 innings with the Dodgers. He just lost a little bit of command there post All-Star break, which has been the story of his career, really. If he controls the ball, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Stuff wise, I mean, he K's a shit ton of people. 119 strikeouts in 95 innings in the first half of the season. 75 and 67 with the Dodgers. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just the second half. Two of those starts were with the Tigers. But I mean, we did see him struggle a little bit in the playoffs, but he also had a couple good starts in the playoffs.
I
So,
just do want to highlight his walks per nine. With his time spent in Detroit, he had a 1.6 walks per nine, and then he goes to LA and it kind of skyrockets to a 3.1. So
yeah.
it's kind of testament to what you said. If he's controlling the ball, he's pitching well. So if he can, lock in and command the strike zone and pitch to the pitcher and, really showcase that slider because it's a definitely a great slider. We saw it in the playoffs and we saw it all year. Great slider. I mean, good fastball as well. So as far as the role he plays in Detroit, man, I just think he's a solid pitcher, man. I think he's one of those guys that you can have as an option right behind Tariq Skubal and play it safe as a SP2, and then hopefully it gives a little bit of a veteran presence to the guys that's coming up right behind him. And Jackson Job, I really like to see maybe if Jack Flaherty kind of teaches him a little bit and his up and coming because obviously Jack Flaherty has dealt with some adversity, so all that experience is definitely going to play with Jackson Job right behind him.
Also, I think the good thing about Detroit and Jack Flaherty, the marriage coming back together is that the Tigers really rely on that bullpen. And if we look at Flaherty's numbers through the first time through the lineup, he had a 2.91 ERA. Second time through the lineup, 2.39, and then when it jumped to the third time facing a lineup, he had a 5.06 ERA. So he really struggled in that back end of a start when going through a lineup more than twice. So the way AJ Hinch manages and the way he gets his bullpen in the game, I know it's not going to be like that for all 162, and they're going to try to stretch him out more and more. Um, Unlike in the playoffs, but he's going to get that bullpen in, and Flaherty should pitch well through those first two times through the lineup. So that's an important piece of information too.
Yeah, I mean, if you can go 4 2/3, maybe even 5 innings per start, and then hand it over to that bullpen that we obviously seen showcased in October, I think you're looking at honestly the more that we talk about Jack Flaherty, the more I really see him fitting in with this Detroit team, man. Yeah, if he's able to handle that ball off to the bullpen and all those arms in what Will Vest and people like that, man. I really like that at all. I like a lot, man.
All right, I agree. I was hoping he was going to go to a contending team, and it's cool to see him go to a team that's attempting to contend, especially after a fluke last season. I know Detroit was great, but when it happens for the first time in 50 years, it's going to be called a fluke unless you can repeat it. And the way they're building this team and their young players coming up, it's looking like they are going to contend in that AL Central
Oh, for
and
sure.
compete for a playoff spot. So that's always good to see.
I still think they're better than the Royals with or without Jack Flaherty. So to add Jack Flaherty into that central mix, I mean, you're really looking at maybe a pennant race all year.
Yeah. All right, so we get into some of these moves.
All right, man. Starting with the Phillies. So their offseason hasn't been, how would you say, the most exciting, maybe. But I mean, they have made a few decent moves, man. I know before the offseason started, they wanted to cut some payroll. They said, they're kind of running out of money and stuff like that. But they bring in Joe Ross on a 1 year deal with $4 million. They take a flyer on Max Kepler on a 1 year deal worth $10 million. And then, just to highlight, they've lost Jeff Hoffman and Carlos Estevez. They bring in Jordan Romano on a 1 year deal worth $8.5 million. And then they get Dylan Campbell from the Dodgers for international pool bonus money. They get Aaron Combs from Chicago for Tyler Gilbert. And then the big one to solidify that rotation that's already good enough. They get Jesus Luzardo, Paul McIntosh from Miami for Starlin Caba and Marion Floyd.
Yep. And I just want to jump right into one of my favorite moves of the offseason, and that's the Phillies going out and getting Jesus Luzardo. Uh, Flamethrowing lefty. I wanted the Rangers to trade for him so bad.
Yeah,
Uh, but unfortunately the Phillies jumped on it and I really like Jesus Luzardo. If we look at his numbers in 2024, I mean, they're not going to pop up the screen. He was actually pretty bad this season.
he's
Struggled.
also banged up, man.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched 66 innings to a 5.03 ERA. But if we go back to 2023, to look at his numbers, it was a great season. I mean, he in the I'm sorry, pre-All-Star break, he had a 3.30 ERA. A lot of people were talking like, can he pitch this long into a season? He hadn't done it before, really dealt with injuries most of his career. But then in that post-All-Star break, he comes back, throws 76 innings, and has a 3.9 ERA in 2023. And I think that's what I'm basing my projections off of, is his 2023 season more so than his 2024 season. Even if we go back to 2022, he was solid in that season too. Just didn't pitch that many innings. I mean, he had what, almost 100 innings that season. I don't even think he got to that 100 inning threshold. I think it was about 99.
In
And
2022,
yeah,
he got 100 on the dot,
100
100.1.
on the dot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had a what? Great year that year. A lot of it was the post All-Star break, obviously, looking back into that 2022 season or 2023 season. No, 2022. It was a while ago, but that second half, I remember he was a stud. 3.04 ERA, 198 batting average against, struck out 79 guys in 71 innings, and the stuff was electric. It was really fun to watch him pitch that second half of that season, and I'm excited to see what he does in Philly, especially as being their, I don't know if you want to call him their five starter,
That's
but
what he's projected to be.
yeah, he's projected to be their five. Of course, they got one of the best pitchers in baseball at the top of that rotation, but I mean, with Jesus's ceiling, he could easily be a two or three starter in this rotation if he does what he can do, and that's exciting as a Phillies fan.
I do want to. You saying you're talking about Jesus Luzardo having the best year in 2023. He was in the 58th percentile in expected ERA, a 62nd percentile in expected batting average, the 90th percentile in fastball velocity. So, like you said, he's a flamethrower from the left side. He's in the 37th percentile in the average exit velocity, 77th percentile in chase percentage, 85 in whiff percentage, 82 in K percentage. So I mean, I do want to highlight, like, maybe those numbers don't jump off the board, but for our listeners, he's 26. You know what I mean? He has plenty of time to blossom into a starting pitcher. He definitely passes the eye test. His Zardo, he has good stuff, man. And I think in that Phillies rotation, being the 5 star, I think it's only going to benefit him, man. I really do like this move, and I'm surprised a lot of these other teams didn't try to go out and try to move for Jesus Luzardo. he was on the injured list for a majority of 2024, so maybe there is injury concern there. But for like a high season guy like this, like you said, man, I mean, I'll take a flyer on this guy any day.
Yeah, and then jumping into the Max Kepler move, just some depth outfield. Definitely a better defender than pretty much everyone except their center fielder out there. With Castellanos and whoever they just. I think Kepler might work his way into a platoon situation in right field.
Well, it looks like Max Kepler is their projected starting left fielder with
Oh,
Brandon
left fielder.
Marsh, sticking in center and Nick Castellanos in right, and
Okay.
then Kyle Schwarber as their everyday DH. Their fifth outfielder would probably be Johan
Johan
Rojas.
Rojas, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, and I know they wanted to trade Castellanos this off season.
I don't think
But I
anyone's
mean,
going to take on that contract.
yeah, Kepler can be a solid. I don't know how to project him. He seems like a guy who when you watch him play, he looks like he has stretches where he's like super exciting, super good. Um and then he has stretches where he's like, Jesus, this guy can't hit a baseball for to save his life. And I think that's most of the Twins, to be honest with you. But I mean, if we look back to his best season, it was probably outside of 2019, where he had an 855 OPS and hit 36 homers. Uh, it was just 2 seasons ago where he put up an 816 OPS in 2023, went 2020, and I don't know. He had a good season that year, had a 2.9 B-WAR. It was just a solid year in 2023. And then I remember a stretch in 2024. He was pretty good and then kind of just fell off. And it ended up being a disappointing season for him. Still put up a one-win season. Like I said, solid defender out there in the corner. But I'm excited to see what he does in the Phillies lineup and see if they could get him right. I mean, he's projected to have a 718 OPS and hit 14 homers in 2025. So if they get that production out of him, honestly, this is a solid pickup for that Phillies team.
I mean, he has a 20.7 career B WAR, so I mean, over 10 years, so he's averaging about 2 wins above replacement per year. I mean, that's a solid player, man. I mean, you're not paying him very much money either, so honestly, anything you get out of Max Kepler, considering that he's going to play, above average defense out there, I think it's a win for this team. Their outfield defense are so abysmal, man. They really don't have the best outfielders. I think it's Nick Castellanos is really wearing down that outfield, and then Kyle Schwarber was weighing it down a long time until they made him an everyday DH. So I think this move for the Phillies is going to work out. I think they really added him just to see if he brings anything to this team. They had Austin Hayes last year in left field, so he didn't play very well. Johan Rojas can hold it down out there in any position he plays out there in the outfield. But the problem is he can't hit, man. So Max Kepler has shown great flashes of being an above average hitter. So if you can just revert back to that, especially being your fifth, sixth option in that lineup, I think it's going to be really helpful to Max Kepler. And get him the hell out of Minnesota, man. It's a new fresh start over there in Philadelphia on a team that's going to contend year in, year out. So I'm excited for Max Kepler, man. He's only 31 years old, so we'll see what kind of value he brings out there to Philadelphia.
All right, and then what do you think Romano is going to do for this team? You think he's their closer? You think he's a eighth inning guy? I mean, coming off a bad 2024 season, but we know how good he was in 23 and 22.
I
All
think he played it
stars
by
both
ear.
those years.
Jordan Romano was banged up this year, so we didn't really see a lot of him. But you still have Matt Strahm in that bullpen. You still have Kirkering in that bullpen. You still have Jose Alvarado in that bullpen. So I think if you're the Phillies, you kind of just mix it in. I think Jordan Romano is probably the safest option because he has the most closing experience right next to Jose Alvarado. But Jose Alvarado kind of folds a lot under pressure. At least that's what we've seen a lot from him. So I think opening day, man, if I had to pick through those four names I just mentioned, I think you give it to Romano. And I was actually kind of surprised that he only got $8.5 million the way the relievers have been getting paid
Yeah, I
this
mean,
past offseason.
if we look at his seasons, his 4 seasons before last year from 2020 to 2023, he pitched 200 innings to a 2.29 ERA and struck out 251 guys with a FIP of 3.13 and a ERA plus one of 185. So I mean, he's been consistent besides or damn near every year of his career besides his rookie season in 19 and this past season. But I don't know. I think he was a sleeper pickup for this Phillies bullpen who lost Sir Anthony Dominguez.
They
in
lost a
that
lot,
trade,
man.
obviously, and Carlos Estevez. I mean, Jeff Hoffman was obviously a key point part of that 24 bullpen, but he wanted to be a starting pitcher regardless. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't have paid him if I was Philly to bring him back
And
because
he
he
had
wanted
problems
to.
passing a lot of his physicals too. It just seems like the
Yeah.
Blue Jays took a flyer because they needed to sign somebody. So there's definitely injury concerns there. So yeah, Jeff Hoffman, he definitely had a great year last year. But yeah, like you said, man, I think if you replace Jeff Hoffman with Jordan Romano, I think you're apples to apples, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up the Phillies. What would you give this offseason grade wise?
I mean, you got Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, and Jesus Luzardo. I mean, that's a very deep playoff rotation, man. Any one of those guys can go out
The
there
deep
and
regular season
yeah, for
rotation.
sure. Regular season play, I don't care. I mean, and then you still have Trey Turner, you still have Bryce Harper, you still got Kyle Schwarber. JT Ramito's kind of on the wrong side of 30, but I mean, he's still there. He's still going to play good defense and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I really think
They have
I
Andrew
just look at
Painter
the
coming up
Mets. I
too.
look at the Mets and I look at the Braves, and it just like the Phillies on paper just seem a lot weaker than those teams, man.
Then the
Um,
Mets, they seem weaker than the Mets.
I think the Mets have a brighter future than the Phillies, yes.
But we're talking about this coming up season. You think the Mets have a better team than the Phillies?
Well, let's go position by position. DH Kyle Schwarber to the DH what? Jesse Winker?
Give me Schwarber.
Yeah, sure. Uh, Lindor over Turner, but I mean, there's no
No,
wrong
it's
answer there.
Lindor over Turner.
Because
There is a
if
wrong
you want to
answer.
get if you want to go Turner, like I get it, you know what I
No,
mean?
there is a wrong answer. It is Lindor.
Sure. And then you got Bryce Harper to well, we'll touch base on the Mets in a little bit, but I mean, I just think their lineup's a little bit deeper. I think Alec Bohm sucks. I think Nick Castellanos sucks.
How
I
can you
think
say Alec Bohm sucks though?
Alec Bohm didn't even start in the playoffs. That's how they've been
Yeah,
actively
but he's
trying to
been
shop Alec Bohm
yeah,
this
but
entire
he
offseason.
you do
He
realize he
can't
put
play
up a
defense.
3 WAR this past season in
What was
2024.
his second half stats? What
I
was his
mean, he had
stats in
a
the playoffs
780 OPS
in the second half?
in this season.
Sure, I'm talking about the second half. I know he started off hot. Everybody knows he started off hot.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't just dock a guy from starting off hot. Alec Bohm. I'll get his second half stats while you continue to tear down this Phillies team for some reason.
So in the second half, he had a 681 OPS.
I mean, yeah, he struggled, but he was also dealing with injury in the second half.
It's just hard for me to get behind Alec Bohm when
I
the
mean,
Phillies didn't even start him.
like I said, he was dealing with injuries. He's been above average hitter 4 of the 5 seasons he's been in the big leagues.
I just think from third base production, when he's not a good defender to begin with, I feel like you should expect more out of that bat. If he played second base, we can be like, sure, he's an above average hitter, but positional strength and positional value, Alec Bohm isn't the third baseman I'd try to run out every day.
Okay, what about Mark Vientos?
I think recency bias wants to tell me that Mark Vientos is a better hitter just simply after the display what we saw in October.
Right, I agree
But
with you, but there's a
I
lot of
think
question marks with that Mets team.
oh for sure, 100%. I mean, you still have Pistol Pete out there on the market. Maybe they bring him back. So until then,
But the reports are that he com is completely not coming back.
and they
Like
also
they're
said that it
most
was
likely going to
like,
part ways.
and the Yankees
Also,
were
whose starting rotation are you taking?
oh the Phillies, bro. That's not even close.
I'll cut the Phillies rotation in half. Whose starting rotation are you taking?
You got what? Sean Manaea,
I'll
Kodai
take
Senga.
Zach Wheeler out of the Phillies rotation. Who are you taking?
So
What
Sean
rotation are you
Manaea, Kodai
taking?
Senga, Frankie Montes, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, and Paul Blackburn. I'm gonna take
With
the Phillies, bro. They're just
without Zach Wheeler, you're taking the Phillies too.
yeah, for sure.
I
What
mean,
you got? Aaron
and
Nola.
bullpen wise, what team are you taking?
I think it's pretty close, brother. I think
It's
their bullpens
close,
are
and
pretty
the
close.
Phillies' weak point is their bullpen.
I mean, you got Edwin Diaz, AJ Minter, Ryan Stanek. I mean, that's a good bullpen. You got Reed Garrett, Jose
I
Budo.
mean, Jose Alvarado, Jordan Romano. There's a ton of guys.
I
Matt
mean, AJ
Strom. There's
Minter
a
or Jose Alvarado.
Jose Alvarado.
You think so? I think I'd go
Yes.
Minter on that one.
Okay, we could compare. I mean, I kind of
We'll
want to
we'll
get
we'll,
into
we'll,
this
we'll talk about the
conversation
Mets.
deeper
We'll talk
because
about the Mets
I
later,
don't
man.
understand how you think the Phillies are a worse team than the Mets.
I just think the Mets.
Whose lineup are you taking?
Let's see. Lindor, Soto, Vientos, Nimmo, Winker, Francisco Alvarez, Jeff McNeil, Jose Siri, and Brett Beatty.
I'm not trying to tear down the Mets either. I think they're a great team. I just think this Phillies team is a World Series contender, and I think
I
that Mets
don't.
team,
I don't think so at
how?
all.
How are they not?
I don't think so, man. I think the Braves are much better, and I think the Mets really give them a run for their money.
Yeah, the Braves are better, but the Phillies and the Braves, if we take the best teams in
I
base, the
mean,
Phillies are better than any team in the AL.
we're talking about the Phillies versus the Mets here, right? I mean, if we would just want to go back one previous year when the Phillies have only all they've done is add Jordan Romano and Jesus Luzardo, the Mets just what didn't they just
Eh,
sweep them in the division series
I mean, sure, in a 5 game
against
set.
Wheeler, against Sanchez, or against Ranger and Nola,
Okay, but the Mets were also,
and the
we know
Mets
how the
added
wild
Soto,
card in
and the
divisions,
Mets added
and they
Soto,
lost Alonso, and they
but they
lost.
added Soto,
Okay,
but they
their
Ryan
lineup
they've
depth
added
is
Juan
dead.
Soto,
Andrew, you
Bryce
told
Harper,
me how you
Bryce
don't think the
Harper,
Mets are
or
a
Juan
playoff
Soto.
team recently.
Bryce Harper or Juan Soto?
Br- or Juan Soto, obviously. But
Man.
there's 8 other guys in the lineup.
Okay. You want Francisco Alvarez moving forward?
Kyle Schwarber or Mark Vientos.
Kyle Schwarber.
Okay. Trey
If Mark
Turner,
Vientos can walk a little bit, I think I give the edge to Mark Vientos because he's more valuable than Kyle Schwarber.
at hitting wise, I don't think so.
As an overall player, Mark
Okay,
Vientos is more
Bryson
valuable to my
Stott or
team.
Jeff McNeil.
Bryson Stott has been really bad lately, brother.
Jeff McNeil was horrible last
Jeff
season.
McNeil was hurt.
What are we talking about? Bryson Stott has been good for most of his career. He just had a down year last year. He still put up a 2.5 win season.
Sure, he's a wizard defensively. How many games did Bryson Stott play?
148.
Jeff McNeil had a 1.6 WAR through 129 games and a 2.4 WAR the year before and a 5.7 WAR the year before that.
Okay, Bryson Stott had a 4.3 in 23. That's B WAR. If we look at F WAR, that number is going to be higher too.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I'm taking Bryson Stott over Jeff McNeil. Trey Turner's a stud, but Lindor's obviously the third best shortstop in baseball.
I just want to highlight that Jeff McNeil had a 923 OPS in the second half.
Okay, hold on. Let's go through a playoff series.
Okay.
Mets,
So
Phillies.
you have Kodai,
Game one. No,
Wheeler,
game
game
one.
one.
Game one.
Yeah, Kodai.
Okay, we could go Kodai. Kodai Wheeler, game one. Who are you giving the edge to?
I'm going to give it to Zach Wheeler. He's the best playoff pitcher we've ever
Okay.
seen.
Aaron Nola or Sean Manaea? Who are you giving the edge to? And don't
After
say
what
Sean Manaea
I think
because it's
Sean
not
Manaea.
Sean Manaea.
I think Sean
No,
Manaea.
it's not.
I mean, you just saw Sean Manaea shove against the Dodgers, brother.
I've seen Aaron Nola shove for 10 years.
Sure. I think Sean Manaea is better going in the next year. We can make that bet. I'm willing to take Sean Manaea against Aaron Nola next year.
Pull up Sean Manaea because Aaron Nola was top 10 in Cy Young this season. After being top 5 in 22 and top 10. Oh, I'm not going to count that season 2020.
Sean Manaea was 11th in Cy Young this year.
Okay, exactly. So I'm taking Nola, who's proven in the playoffs and proven it time and
What
time again in
was
his career.
what was Aaron Nola's FIP last year?
He had a 3.94.
He had a Sean Manaea had a 3.83. What was his ERA last year?
Three, where's it at? Where's the ERA at? Oh, 3.57.
Sean Manaea had a 3.47. I think, sure, like you want to talk about Aaron Nola, I respect your decision. I think you should respect the Sean Manaea decision as well.
Okay,
Sean
then we could
Manaea,
go to game 3. Pick Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, or Jesus Luzardo to be their game 3 starter. Over who is their game 3 starter in New York?
I have to go back to their projected roster.
David Peterson,
No, it's not David Peterson.
Clay Holmes,
Frankie
who I
Montas.
yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay, we can even go game 4.
David Peterson, Clay Holmes, or Paul Blackburn. I'm just that's fine, brother. That's fine. You know what I mean?
Uh,
We've already established that
I mean, the
the
Phillies
Phillies
are built
rotation
for the
is better,
playoffs. The Phillies are built for the playoffs. That's the difference.
and they got swept last year by the Mets, brother.
Okay, after 2 years of Greatness in the playoffs.
I mean, we're
A
only
World
talking about
Series
last
and
year going into this
NLCS.
year
Okay, why can we only talk about last year?
because last year's only one relevant.
It's not, that's not the only year relevant.
I truly believe it is.
Okay, if last year's the only year
I only base
relevant,
my projections
then
off
the
the
Dodgers are
last
just
year.
going to win the World Series again.
I mean, aren't they the
Why are
favorites
we
on
even going to
every
play the
single?
baseball?
I mean, they're the favorites, aren't they? I mean, I think you're
Okay,
taking it
look
to an
up,
extreme
okay,
measure.
look up the odds of, or let's look at the win totals between the Phillies and Mets and who Vegas thinks is the better team. Considering you're bringing up odds,
The Philadelphia Phillies and New York Mets are tied for the next highest win total in Major League Baseball for the year 2025 with a 91.5 wins.
so they're both projected the same wins.
Yes.
On what website?
I just Microsoft Bing did. I didn't get a website, but I can
Okay,
check my source if you want me to.
MLB
It's
projected
on Bet 365.
win totals. Are they all the same at 91 and a half?
The Dodgers are at 103 and a half.
I
The
don't care
Yankees
about
are
the
at 92.
Dodgers. We're talking about the Phillies. Phillies are at 89 and a half. Oh, this is 2024. Sorry. Let me go to 2025.
Through Vegas Insider, the New York Mets are at 90, over 90 and a half wins, and the Phillies are at 91 and a half wins. So they're about a one-win difference,
So they're a
according to
a
Vegas. And
one-win
that's
team
according to
better.
DraftKings. That's according to
Yeah.
DraftKings.
So they
So they're one win
project the
apart
Phillies to be better.
by one game, yes.
It's one game, one game.
Yes. So I think the extreme measures that you're taking to try to sound like the Phillies are the
You
clear-cut
just said the
answer,
you just
according to
said the Mets are
Vegas,
the clear-cut answer.
I mean, I never said that. I said
You
the
said
clear
that
cut. I
you
just
said
think
I
the
think the
Mets are
Mets are
better.
way
I
better
think
than
the
the
Mets are
Phillies.
better. I
That's
said I
what you
think the
said.
Mets are better.
Way better. You said way
I
better.
might have said way better. You can quote me on that. Maybe I did say that. And I do believe that. I do think the Mets are the better team than the Phillies. I
If
think the Mets are the
if
second place finisher in that division.
if they are playing a division series, who do you pick to win that series? Because fuck the regular season. They're both gonna be playoff teams.
Okay, so you have Kodai and Shamanaya, who are going to be able to compete. Obviously, Zach Wheeler is in a league of his own. Sure. You're going to have to rake. You're going to have to hit regardless. But I don't want to put anything past Kodai Singh. I think Kodai Singh is a great pitcher.
I
And
do
based
too.
off of last
Too.
year, game two is up for grabs. If we're talking about a division series or a
Sure.
championship series,
Uh, let's go. Let's go the CS.
the CS, you have to give the edge to the Phillies because their rotation's deeper.
Okay, let's go
Sure.
DS.
I think that's a I think that's a very even. I think anyone can come out on top. I think that goes 5 games.
The Mets are at a disadvantage 4 out of 5 of those games.
Yes, simply because the Phillies rotation is that much better. Yes.
So I would pick. You just told me the Phillies are better in a 7 game series and it's a toss up in a 5 game series, which I disagree with. So how are you going to say the Mets are the better team?
I never said that. I said that the Phillies have the advantage in both series. Yes.
So
On
so
paper. On
how are
paper,
the
sure.
Mets the better team
On
if
paper.
they're at disadvantages? I understand it's baseball and anything can happen,
Hmm.
but how could one team who's at a disadvantage in two playoff series be the better team?
I just think with a Lindor and a Soto, I think that team gets a lot better. I think their bullpen is really good. I think their depth
Really good?
is a lot of depth.
Their
I
bullpen's
mean,
really good?
yeah, I mean it's top 10, wouldn't you say?
The Mets?
Top 15, top 10?
No, it's not top 10. We could talk about top 15 maybe.
Okay, so if you want to pull up maybe bullpens and maybe compare that, I think the Phillies versus the Mets as far as bullpen, I think it's pretty damn even, brother.
Yeah, but I would give the
And
edge to the
I
Phillies.
honestly I think I give the edge lineup wise. I truly believe that the Mets have a better lineup.
I mean, I think the lineups are toss-ups just because Soto and
I think
Lindor
their
is in that lineup.
lineups
But
and
I think the
bullpens could go either
lineup,
way. I think they could swing either way. Whatever you prefer is cool. I just don't think there's a wrong answer
so there's a toss-up in lineup and bullpen,
for sure. It's just the
and then there's a
rotation's better,
clear
sure, brother.
advantage in
In the
rotation,
Phillies, yes, for
which
sure.
is the most important part of playoff baseball.
Sure. I mean, we can make that
and
bet too,
regular
man.
season
I
baseball.
truly I think the Mets are a better team, man. I don't think the Phillies. I just something about their vibe, brother. I just don't think they're putting it together. I just don't I just don't see them being competitive. I mean,
I
they're going
mean,
to
the
be above
Phillies
500
also
team.
have
They may make the playoffs. I have no doubt. You know what I mean? They're definitely going to be in that conversation for playoffs. I just don't think they're a top three
the
team.
the Phillies also have the players in their farm system make a move at the deadline, whereas the Mets don't.
Sure, for Painter, sure.
They have a lot of
Well,
decent
they have
guys in
other
that
guys too. Yeah, for
bullpen
sure.
too,
Maybe
or in that
their
bullpen
prospect system is
farm
better,
system.
man. It's just when you have Lindor and Soto on the top of your lineup, is just I don't know. I mean, it just I think it's levels better than a Harper Trey Turner duo.
I don't know about levels,
I it
but it's better.
I think that's a B tier. I think Soto and Lindor are close to the S tier.
Okay, but I could throw Schwarber in their top three. Who's
You
their
can
third?
throw
Who's their third best hitter on the Mets?
it's either Brandon Nimmo or Mark Vientos.
And they're both questionable. I know what I'm getting from Schwarber.
I mean, one of these days, bro, he can just stop walking, fool, and someone's gonna just levitate on his swing and miss abilities. I don't know.
It's
I
been
think
like
Schwarber
that
has
since
question
his
marks too.
career started.
Sure,
How
sure.
how how could a guy who's been one of the most consistent players in terms of expectations have question marks?
I just think you've seen the best years of Schwarber. I just don't think he's gonna replicate the better years he's had in his career, man. I just if I had to
How have
take
we?
a flyer on who I'd want between Mark Vientos, Brandon Nimmo, and Kyle Schwarber, I'm gonna take Mark
Okay,
Vientos and
we've
Brandon
seen the
Nimmo
best
moving
of Kyle
forward.
Schwarber, right?
Yes,
Out of the last three seasons, which season do you think was his best one?
I want to say last year.
Yeah. So how have we seen the best if he's just progressed better than this previous two seasons before that?
Are you just a Kyle Schwarber truther?
I mean, I know exactly what I'm getting from Schwarber. I'm getting 40 homers and an 830 OPS with at least a 130 OPS plus.
I can see your argument, man. I guess I just prefer players that play both sides of the ball.
But we're talking about lineup, and
Sure.
he's a DH. He doesn't have to play both sides of the ball.
106 walks, 366 on base, 851 OPS.
And he had 130 walks the season prior. I mean, he put up an 817 OPS with a 197 batting average, brother. I
Mark
know exactly
Vientos
what
had
I'm
an
getting.
837 OPS through 111 games with a 3.
All right.
Mark Vientos, Mark Vientos. Can you guess his OPS last year?
He had like an 836. We already talked about this.
837 OPS. 837. That's 135 OPS plus
All right, let's
through
just talk about the Phillies' moves right
111
now.
games, brother.
Let's talk about the Phillies' moves right now, and then we can continue this conversation at a greater extent.
All right, losses. They've lost Austin Hayes and Hunter Tenderden. They lost Spencer Turnbull, Carlos Estevez, Jeff Hoffman, and they traded Scott Kingery to the Angels for cash. All in all,
I mean, they got Juan
you get.
Soto, AJ Minter, Clay Holmes.
We're talking about the Phillies. I thought.
No, I said let's talk about the Mets edition.
Oh, you want to talk about the Mets? You want to skip the Braves? Talk to the Braves next.
Yeah, we'll talk because these two teams are colliding right now in our conversation.
All right, so let's give a letter grade to the Phillies first. I mean, you bring in Jesus Luzardo, Jordan Romano, Max Kepler. I mean, I'm in the B minus range, B range.
I'm gonna B plus because I think they went and got better than they were the previous season, and I think they have room to get better still, and make more moves, and that's what I'm excited for to see.
Cool.
So I'm gonna give them a B plus, and then we'll move on to this Mets so we can continue having this conversation and then talk about the Mets some more.
All right, so the Mets last year, 89 and 73, went to the National League Championship Series, got eliminated by the Dodgers. And this past offseason, they've added Nick Madrigal, AJ Minter, Griffin Canning, Jared Young, Juan Soto, Clay Holmes, Frankie Montes, Justin Hangenman, Dylan Covey, Ryan Stanek. They brought him back. They brought back Jesse Winker. They brought back Sean Manaea, and they got Jose Siri from Tampa for Eric Orze.
So I think the Mets have had an A off season, by the way.
100%, 100%.
I mean, they brought in Juan Soto,
I mean, that in
25-year-old
itself is going to
Ted
give you at least a B
Williams.
plus.
They brought back Sean Manaea, fantastic move. They brought in Ryan Stanek, another bullpen arm who's been inconsistent but has been solid in most of his career. And then I think the underrated move was bringing back Jesse Winker, who was really good for them last season, and he provides a lot of oomph in that in terms of emotion in that locker room. And I think that's important to have a guy like that. I mean, he had a 683 OPS with when he came to the Mets, but his total time last season he put up a 764 OPS between the Nationals and the Mets and had a two-win season. So I was excited for when they brought back Jesse Winker. Obviously, if you want to talk about what Soto did last year, being a Yankee fan and him being on the Yankees, it's incredible to watch, man.
I mean, yeah, Juan Soto put up his best year, right? I mean, for the best time he could possibly have the best year of his career was last year, and got him paid, man. He put up a 7.9 B WAR. Let's just round it up to an 8. So we had 8 wins above replacement, 129 walks to 119 strikeouts. So he had 10 more walks than he struck out. Batted 288 with the 419 on base percentage. Crazy. Slugged 569 with a 989 OPS,
That's
178 OPS
ridiculous.
plus.
At 24.
Yes. And then smacked his home run total for career by 6 with 41, which is higher than the previous year at 35. I mean, I don't know what you want out of Juan Soto. He's not going to play the field very well. He's not going to run very well. But boy, he's going to hit with the best of them, brother. Um, that fool, just that piece of lumber between his hands, man. Definitely knows how to use it. 69 slug throughout the whole year. I mean, just incredible, man. Damn near 1,000 OPS. Do you think that these stats are going to get replicated at any point in his career? Do you
Yeah.
think they're going to get better?
I, 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 I don't want to put the expectations of him getting better onto him because he's already such an elite level hitter. And if he stayed this way for 10 more years, he's
I
a
mean,
first ballot Hall of Famer and a top
just
20
go
baseball player of
for the
all
viewers
time.
listening, and you, Ryan, just go pull up his savant real quick.
No, I saw the Savant. I mean, it's nothing but red. He's just
It's nothing
so
but
elite,
red.
right?
It's
And
nothing but
there's not
red,
a
man.
player.
When
Let
you're
me
in the
ask you this.
100th
Let me ask you
percentile of
this.
X WOBA and X batting average, brother, you're a generational talent.
Let me ask you this.
Generational.
Would you rather have Juan Soto or Bobby Witt Jr.?
Bobby Wood Jr. I'm sorry. I love
Okay.
Soto, but it's Bobby
So
Wood Jr.
okay, Juan Soto or Gunnar Henderson. Let's try to find out the range of which like the range in which he is better than in terms of young superstars. I forgot. I don't know how to word what I was trying to say, but
I mean,
let's do
I'd
that.
rather have him over a J Rod. I'd rather have him over Corbin Carroll.
What about
And
Tatis?
that's a conversation.
What about Gunnar? Are
That's,
you taking Gunnar over?
I don't know. I can't compare an outfielder to a shortstop.
But I mean, we just did, and you said Bobby Witt.
Well, you started it. But
Oh
that's what
no,
I'm
that's
saying.
what I'm
That's why
saying.
Bobby Witt's the clear cut answer. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, is Gunnar better than Juan Soto? Or who would you rather have? I don't want to put
I
that.
just feel like Soto's bat is better than Gunner's, right?
Take Juan Soto then. I'm not saying you're wrong if you take either or.
I think I'm taking Gunner. You know what I mean? I just feel like the
Okay,
wrong answer is Gunner. But in my opinion, I think the clear cut answer is Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson. I think you can have a conversation for Tatis.
right. Just because of his injury
Yeah,
history
just because of
too.
his injuries history. And I think I give him the edge too, because if I do need Tatis to play short, I know he could play short. You know what I mean?
I don't,
I can't put Soto at
again.
shortstop. You know what I mean? I
I
can put him
mean,
at
Tatis can.
first, maybe.
Let's say Tatis can play center field for sure.
Oh man, I think that's a conversation because Juan Soto is such a generational hitter, brother. He's a top three.
Soto or Acuna because they're both bad defenders.
I don't know. I mean, a 7.9 WAR. What was Acuna's
I
WAR?
think he had a 7.9.
Let me just check.
I think he had an 8 WAR.
I'm going with the player that had the higher WAR, man.
I'm going Juan Soto, by the way.
8.2 WAR. 8.2
This is B
WAR.
WAR, by the way, guys. I know,
Yes.
casual war guys, but
Um.
I want Juan Soto over
Yeah,
Acuna,
I'm gonna
I
give Juan
think.
Soto, brother. Just if Ronald Acuna had knees, brother, I think I go Ronald Acuna. But until he gets some knees, brother,
So
I
he
think I'm gonna go
let's say he's
Soto.
in the threshold of
Okay, I take Soto over Jordan. I take Soto over
oh
Betts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I take Soto
I don't
over
know why I said
Tucker.
ooh. Okay, I'm talking about young guys because
Okay,
it's
I
not
take him
fair to
over
compare him to
Carroll. I
30
take
year
him over
olds.
Carroll.
So he's top three, and the only two guys that are ahead of him are generational shortstops who have had top 10 seasons up there with Alex
And they're
Rodriguez's
like 23 and 24
and
years old.
23, yeah, and are
Although
younger
Soto's
than him.
26, but you know what I mean? Like,
So that's the
give
only
me Witt, give me
threshold.
Gunner.
That's the only threshold in which Juan Soto is below.
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells you the talent because he's a corner outfielder that can't play defense and he's that good.
I mean, if Jaron Duran replicates his season year after year, do you take Jaron Duran over Juan Soto?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know. I just think it's because if Jaron Duran had a higher sample size, I feel like it would have been a better conversation.
Yeah.
If he does replicate this for next year, I definitely want to see some comps, brother. I think I'd want to favor Jaron Duran in that situation because they're around the same age as well. Um, but if you want to just talk about superstars across the league, I take him over Betts. I take him over his teammate Lindor,
I think the only guy who don't you take over him is the better.
Judge,
Judge,
Shohei
Gunner,
even as a hitter. I take
Witt.
Shohei as a hitter, not even a pitcher, just as a pure hitter.
So it's Judge, Gunner, Witt, Shohei. Is that it? What about Lindor? Do you take him over
I take him
Lindor
over
right now?
Lindor. I was gonna say J Ram, but I just feel like if I'm gonna take him over Lindor, I have to take him over J Ram.
Okay. We said over Acuna,
Over Mookie.
over Mookie. Tatis is, I think
I
Tatis
think
is the
that's a
question mark.
conversation, brother. I don't know if I take him over Tatis.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's the
Tatis is
question
so
mark.
good, but
That's the
Soto's so
question mark.
good.
I don't know. All right.
I can't factor in the variables of you saying that like Tatis can only play the outfield because I know he could play infield too.
No, I'm just
So
saying,
for
like,
that
let's not
aspect
throw
that I
that
know
into
that
the.
Tatis can do that, I have to take Tatis, man. I just think when it's all said and done, I think Tatis is going to be better than Soto. I
I
truly
mean,
believe that.
to be fair, Soto's. Let's say
He's a
Soto's
two
at.
trick pony or a three trick pony, but he's a three
Let's
tool
say
player.
let's
The
say
players
Soto's
that
a
we
head
take over
higher
him,
than Tatis in terms of hitting, but Tatis is head, shoulder, knees, and toes in terms of every other aspect of baseball,
yeah.
defense and base running, right?
I think there's definitely like I think Soto's an S tier hitter, and I think Tatis is in that A range, man.
Yeah.
But
And when
Soto is
he's
like in that D range for every other aspect of baseball.
F, he's an F
Yeah.
fielder and an F for base runner.
And Tatis is gonna steal bags with the best of them, and he's a platinum glove winner. It's just Tatis doesn't walk very much.
Does Tatis get 700 million at 25 years old if he's a free agent?
Yes.
You think so?
I think the highest paid player, I think Bobby Witt is the only player that gets more than Juan Soto.
Which is crazy because Bobby Witt signed a fucking stupid extension. Now
Bobby
that
Witt
extension looks
probably could have got
horrible
a
for
billion.
Bobby Witt.
Yeah,
Oh,
Bobby Witt
okay,
probably
okay,
got half a
relax.
billion.
Because Bobby Witt's gonna be or if we're saying if he was a free agent at 25,
Yeah, I think he's a billionaire.
I don't know about billion.
I don't think
I
that's
don't
out of
know
the
about a
question at
billion.
all,
I don't know
bro. I
about a
mean,
billion.
you get Soto for 765 million, right?
I don't know about
For a
billion.
hitter, right field, for a right fielder.
I
You're
guess.
telling
I
me
don't think any
Bobby
team's willing
Witt,
to
a
put a
platinum
billion
glove?
dollars on a
I,
contract right now.
I would. Would you? For
For
Bobby
Bobby
Witt?
Witt, if he
Yes.
was
No
25 and a free
question.
agent,
No
first off,
question.
I'm not. If I'm a GM, I'm not signing Soto for 700. By the way, I'm like,
Bobby
I'm
Witt
good,
Jr.
Soto.
had a
I'll watch you.
9.4 B WAR season, brother.
I think he had a 10 F war season. Okay, let's not get carried away too much in this conversation because we got three more teams to talk about.
Sure. Bobby Witt
But
had a
okay,
10.4 F WAR. I'm giving him $1 billion. I'm sorry. He's a
you
billion
know,
dollar
I think
man.
he had the third best season out of shortstop ever, and it's only behind two seasons of Alex Rodriguez.
If Judge was a free agent at 25 too, I think he gets a billion as well.
Oh, okay, obviously. He's the greatest hitter we've seen since Barry Bonds. What's Barry Bonds get as a 25-year-old?
Shit. 2 billion.
All right.
But
Let's
yeah,
move
I
on to the
mean,
Braves
the Mets, I think they're yeah, I'm in that A
because
range like easily.
I
I think the
I
Mets are a
mean,
very good team, and I think they're better than the Phillies.
thinking
I
about
think
our
they're the second place
conversation, I
team.
think it is a toss-up between the Phillies and Mets for
Yeah, that's
regular
what I
season,
thought. That's what I
but in the
thought.
playoffs, I'm taking the Phillies.
Sure, just because of the rotation. I just think the Mets are made for the regular season. I think the Mets are bigger,
All
better.
right, let's go to the Braves because there's not a lot to talk about with the next three teams. I mean, the Nationals are fun, but let's move on to the Braves now. I'm
So I'll
sorry we
let
went
you
out of
take.
order.
I'll let you take full center since you're a Braves fan.
I'm not a Braves fan. I just love the Braves.
So you're a Braves fan.
I'm not a Braves fan. I just love the Atlanta Braves.
So you're a Braves fan.
All right, so the Braves added Jurickson Profar recently on a 3-year deal. They signed Brian De La Cruz on a 1-year deal. Uh, Davis Daniels, they traded for Davis Daniels from the Angels. They got Nick Allen from the A's, and they got Griffin Canning for Jorge Soler, and then they waived Griffin Canning. And then they lost Ramon Laureano, who just signed today. Shout out to Ramon Laureano, the newest
Baltimore Oriole.
Baltimore Oriole. Huascar Yanoa got non-tendered. Jesse Chavez, who's a Texas Ranger now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out Jesse Chavez. Went to RCC, which is right by our crib. Charlie Morton, Gio Urshela, Whit Merrifield, Adam Duvall, John Brebbia, and then the big losses are Max Fried and AJ Minter. And I guess you could throw Travis d'Arnaud in that big loss too,
Charlie
even though he's
Morton.
getting up there in age. Yeah. And then Kevon Biggio. Um, well, let's start with this grade because I was very disappointed in the Braves offseason, but I really think they got Jerks Profar, who let's look at their what out would you rank this a top five outfield in baseball? Acuna Harris Profar.
I
And they
mean,
already and we know they have a top five infield.
top five outfield.
Man.
I mean, who's in that conversation? Merrill, Tatis, just those two guys alone, I guess makes you top three.
I don't
Um,
know.
I think that's really hard to justify. I think you're underselling it on a top five.
Well, I'm
I
just
think it's damn near
solidifying
like
it.
top three, if not the best outfield in baseball right now, considering Michael Harris, Jurickson Profar, and Ronald Acuna Jr. Like that's a good fucking
There's an
outfield.
MVP, a guy who's gotten MVP votes, and a guy who just put up an 840 OPS.
Yes. Um, Bellinger, Judge, Dominguez.
If you take, if I don't know, I would take the Braves, but Judge is just so damn fucking good.
That's what I'm saying.
And Cody, if Cody
I
puts
never
up an
really
800
thought of it
OPS,
like that. I never thought to put it in terms of outfield. Now that I think about it, I mean Churio, Perkins.
Mitchell
Yeah, I
or
mean,
South Friedrich.
I don't think there's a lot of like
Or
Mookie
what
plays
about the
short.
Cubs? Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, PCA.
Ooh, what's a good one? I think what's a good one? That's a real good one.
Or the Red Sox.
PCA, Hap, what Duran, Sedon Rafaela.
Roman Anthony when he gets up, Willie or Abreu.
Yeah, no,
No,
I
it's the
don't think that's in the
Braves.
conversation. I
Yeah.
don't think it's honestly the now that you bring it, I think it's the Cubs, Tucker, Hap, PCA. That's great
Because
defensive
Tucker's better
outfield.
than
Let me tell you
Acuna.
what.
Tucker's better than Acuna. Harris is better than PCA, but defensively PCA is better than Harris in center field.
And then
And
Profar
then
and Hap's a
Hap
toss up.
are
I
the
think you give
yeah.
the edge to Hap because he has a better
He's
proven
just been
track
so
record.
consistent. But I think
Yeah.
Profar's gonna have a real good year.
Nah, I don't. I like Ian Happ a lot.
No, I
I
love
think it's
Ian
the
Happ too.
Cubs. I think the Yankees are in that conversation too.
Maybe I don't think the Dodgers are in that conversation
Nah,
without
you got
looking
Teoscar, Edman, and Michael Conforto. I don't think that's in the conversation at all. I think the Padres are in that conversation
just because of
with just
Tatis and
Tatis and
Merrill.
Merrill.
The
Yeah, and then
Rangers
you
will be
have
at the end of the year when we Carter,
Langford, Carter, and
Langford,
Adolis.
and Adolis.
Yeah, it's a really good outfield. By All Star break, that's going to be the best outfield in baseball. But as of right now, I want to say it's either the Cubs, the Yankees, or the Braves. Um,
So let's say top three for sure.
yeah, top three. And as far as infield,
They probably have a top five infield too,
yeah,
just because Olson, Riley, and Albies are so good. And then Nacho Alvarez Jr., they're one of their top prospects, come up and play shortstop, and we'll see what they get out of
or
him.
Orlando Arcia. Fuck man. I mean, Adamas, Chapman, Lamont Wade, and Tyler Fitzgerald.
I mean, the other competing one would be the Dodgers, obviously. Muncy, Mookie,
Freeman,
Freeman.
Mookie, and Hyun Kim.
Yeah.
Then you got Machado, Xander,
Or the Orioles.
Gunner,
Gunner,
Westberg,
Holiday,
Holiday,
Westberg,
and Mountcastle, Hearn.
Mountcastle / O'Hearn. Yeah.
Nah, I think the Braves have the best infield in baseball. I don't think there's really a question and or debate for it. As far as outfield, I think they have a top three outfield, and then they have a top five to top 10 catcher in Sean Murphy.
What about the Astros infield?
What Isak, Christian
Walker,
Walker,
Isak,
Altuve, Pena.
Altuve, Pena. That's
I
a
think
good
I'd
infield
give
too. But
what you got
I'd edge the Braves too.
Correa, Royce Lewis, and then Edward Julian and Matt Wallner.
I don't know who's gonna play first for the Twins. I think the Braves edge them out. What about the? Yeah, I think the Braves have one of the best infield in baseball. This team is really fucking good.
Yeah, it is, man. It's really, really good. You got Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm.
Yeah, that team's up there too. If the Mets re-sign Alonso, they have an argument.
Oh yeah, the Mets for San Alonso. I definitely
Alonso,
feel like you have to give the
Lindor,
edge there.
Vientos.
Yeah.
And I would still give the edge to Braves because Olson's better than uh Alonso.
I think the
Riley's
Rangers have a
way better.
conversation too. Josh
Seager,
Young,
Simeon,
Simeon,
Young,
and Berger.
Burger. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like
God, are the
that's in the
Rangers
conversation
good?
too. Yeah, the Rangers are pretty damn good, brother.
Our lineup's good. If we want to throw catchers in there too, they have fucking Sean Murphy. Stud. I really like Sean Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, positional value strength, you may not have like that stellar,
They don't have the
absolute top five
best. They don't have
player.
the best
They
in
just
any
have
position.
so
They have
many like
three
B, A
top
tier
4 to
guys.
5.
Yeah, they have real good guys, man. I think it's unanimous. I think they're the best team in the East. I don't think there's any
Yeah,
comparison. I don't
I
think
agree.
there's any argument that you can tell me that they're worse than the Phillies or the Mets. I would look at you in your eyes and call you stupid. But
Where
you
would you
got Chris
rank
Sale, Ronaldo
their 1-2
Lopez,
punch?
Chris Sale
Strider
and
Sale.
Strider. It's up there, man. It's
Is
with
it two?
Gallon.
Is it one?
It's with Gallon, Burns, Cole, Freed, Snell,
That's better than both those that you
Yoshinobu,
mentioned. That's an argument.
Cease King,
That's an argument. But I give the edge to the Braves right there.
Scooble Flaherty.
I give the edge to the Braves.
Just because,
I think the only
yeah,
team that has a chance is Yamamoto Snell or Glassnail Snell. However you want
or
to
Sasaki
arrange.
Snow. I don't whoever you
Nah,
want to
we're
keep
not
him.
throwing Sasaki in there yet.
I don't think you're giving enough credit to Cole Freed. Um,
It's better than Cole. Who's better, Max Fried or Chris Sale?
um, Chris Sale as of right
Who's
now.
better, Strider or Cole?
Garrett Cole.
Who's better by the All-Star break, Strider or Cole?
Garrett Cole.
Okay. All right, you're
Spencer Strider
disrespecting
might not
Spencer
even
Strider.
be back for by All Star
He's
break.
gonna be back by May,
So
you asshole.
yeah, so let me get fucking Garrett Cole's 12 to 14 starts over fucking Spencer Strider's
I don't know about
four or five.
12. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, you just want to be right so bad when you don't ever disrespect my Pookie Bear.
Or you disrespect my
Garrett Cole.
Pookie Bear, Spencer Strider.
So you got Chris Sale, Spencer Strider, Ronaldo Lopez, Spencer Strellenbach, and then AJ Smith Shawver. I think that's a
With
better
Hurst and
rotation.
Waldrip and
Grant Holmes and Ian Anderson.
yeah, I like Ian Anderson.
I think that's a better rotation than the Phillies. I don't think there's a question about it. I think it's the best rotation in baseball next to the Mariners and the Dodgers.
Oh, how do we not bring up who is the Mariners 1-2 punch? Is it Kirby and Gilbert or Gilbert and Kirby?
Yeah,
Gilbert
it's
and
Gilbert and Kirby. I think Castillo is going to be the
Castillo
projected
fell
three.
out. Yeah.
I think they're going to have him as their ace just because they're paying him the most out of all of them. But in realistic, if you know ball, it's definitely Gilbert Kirby or it's Gilbert
Miller.
Wu.
Miller's good, dude.
Or so is Wu.
Yeah, Woo's good. If Woo could pitch 150
I don't think
innings,
you
I'd buy a
bring in their
Brian Woo
one-two
jersey.
punch. I don't think you're bringing their one-two punch because the ones that we mentioned are better. It's just their rotation as a whole is better than a lot of these other teams.
Right.
Um, but yeah, man, I think their bullpen got worse. I mean, Raisel
Yeah, it
Iglesias,
did.
Pierce Johnson, Aaron Bummer, Dylan Lee, Dasbill, Hernandez, Angel Perdomo, Anderson Pilar, and Dylan Dodd. But I mean, when you have this rotation and you have that depth, I mean, you could throw Huston Waldrip in the fucking bullpen. You could throw Smith
If
Shawver
he
in the
has the
bullpen.
stuff to pitch in the bullpen,
So
I agree.
I don't really mind it. You have plenty of pitching, so who really gives a damn about your bullpen right now? As long as you have your solidified closer and Russell Iglesias, and then you have your setup man and Aaron Bummer, I think you're chilling. Like, I think this rotation's going 6 innings every single one of these guys, besides Ronaldo Lopez. But yeah, the Braves are so good, man. The Braves are
I
the
hope they
number
beat
one
the
team to take out
Dodgers.
the Dodgers.
I hope they
Um,
do.
as far as their offseason, I don't think you could have added much. I think even losing Freed really isn't that big of a deal. I really
I've
think
also
you should
seen
have brought back AJ Minter
I've
just to
also seen
solidify a
reports that
seven.
they're in on King or Cease too.
I mean,
If
they
they
have the
can make
capital.
that, if they can make, I don't know, but maybe King. I don't know if they get Cease, but I
I think
don't.
the
But I
Padres would
mean,
be
Cease and
fools to
King
get rid
are
of
are
Cease.
even.
No, they're not. Cease is better than King.
But you could have an argument that King is just
Nah,
as good as
Cease is better.
Cease. Okay,
There's no argument. Cease is better.
there's an argument.
No, there's not. But
We got, there's no argument.
not even close.
Pull up
Um,
Dylan Cease's numbers, and you know the biggest fucking Dylan Cease guy in the world.
Dylan Cease has a longer track record than Michael King. I'm not going to
I mean,
base
you
my
can't.
projections off of 1 year starting pitching off of Michael King, just like I'm not going to throw Garrett Crochet in my top 10 starting pitching list until they prove to me otherwise. So, with that being said, there's no argument to be made, at least with me. You'd be wasting your time comparing. Dylan Cease is better than Michael King, and there's no question about it.
I mean, Michael King had a 2.95 this past season
I don't care.
with a 3.33 FIP.
I don't care. Dylan Cease is better.
Ridiculous.
I mean, they're both free agents next year. Who gets more money?
Dylan Cease because
Okay,
he's
that's what
younger.
because he's better. Because he's
He's
better.
younger
No,
too.
because he's better.
He's also younger.
Okay, who gets a higher AAV?
Cease because
He's
I'm not
better.
saying he's not better. I'm just saying there's an argument that
There's no
King
argument.
that they're trade value wise that they could be the fucking same
There's no argument,
for
brother.
1 year rental.
You just want to show love.
I love Michael King. Dude, I'm the biggest Dylan Cease guy in the world. You better watch your mouth.
I love Michael King. I do.
All right. Well, before we move on to the final two teams, actually let's talk about the Nationals. We could probably actually just hurry hurry up between both these teams and spend more time on the Nationals because I'm really excited to watch the Nats play.
I love the Nationals, man. I love James Wood. They're the same fucking age, by the way.
Are they?
Both born in 1995. Dumb fuck. And Dylan Cease is way better than Michael
Dylan
King.
Cease just turned 29,
Okay, okay.
38
They're
days ago.
both born in 1995. They're 6 months apart, brother.
Dylan Cease will be 29 as a when
They're
free
six
agency
months apart,
starts.
brother. They're
That's a
6 months
long
apart.
time.
They're 6 months apart.
Okay.
Who
Let's
gets more
move on
money?
to the
Tell me.
Nationals.
Tell me who gets more money?
Let's move on to the
Who gets more
Nationals.
money? I'm asking you a
Dylan
question.
Cease does, but if Michael King goes out and wins a fucking Cy Young, he could
He's
get more
not.
money.
I just don't understand how you're gonna win a Cy Young when you're not even the best pitcher on your fucking team.
I mean, Chris Sale wasn't the best team
Yes, he was.
pitcher on
Spencer
his team.
Strider was hurt. He was gone. He
Going
wouldn't
into the
pitch.
season,
God, dude.
going into the
Anything to
season, he
fit your
was.
narrative. Dylan Cease
Going
is so
into the
much better than
season,
Michael
he
King.
was.
All right. As far as the Nationals, man, they've added I'm Shinanasku Uragaswara. He was an international free agent. You signed him for 2 years, worth $3.5 million. You get Jorge Lopez on a 1 year deal, Ahmed Rosario on a 1 year deal, Josh Bell on a 1 year deal, Michael Soroka on a 1 year deal, Trevor Williams on a 2 year deal, and then you trade the Texas Rangers for Nathaniel Lau for Robert Garcia. You lose Kyle Finnegan, you non-tender him. You lose Tanner Rainey, you non-tender him. Joey Meneses, Patrick Corbin, Jacob Barnes, and the mutual option was declined for Joey Gallo.
Finally got off that Patrick Corbin bread,
Shit, they're still playing Steven Strasburg though.
as they should be. Um, I think this offseason summed up perfectly. They didn't block any of their young guys from playing, which is what I've been saying for teams who are rebuilding. And this team is so close to competing that you can
I
almost
think
smell it
this is the 2024 Tigers right here when you look at
in terms
the
of
Nationals.
grittiness.
Yeah. CJ Abrams, Jalen Cruz, James Wood, Nathaniel Lau, Josh Bell, Luis Garcia Jr., Keibert Ruiz, Jose Tena, and Jacob Young. And you can even who's their third baseman prospect? I forget his name. Fuck, I love him. Um, damn, he had a cup of coffee last year. So you have Andres Shapiro. He's still in their system. Damn, what is his name? Oh, Trey Lipscomb.
Uh,
You
from
have him
from
too.
from Tennessee.
Yeah, so you have him too. And then, I mean, that's the only weak spot you have in your lineup as far as positional strength, I suppose, or even like a little bit of upside. I think Jose Tena has the least amount of upside compared to all the other guys. And you
Luis
also
Garcia
have
Jr. is really exciting, by
super
the
good,
way.
super good, brother, super
He's
good.
really exciting.
And you
I'm
have that
excited to
other
see him
guy who's
progress.
he's gonna be in AAA all year, but he's almost ready. He's a third baseman as well. Brady House.
Oh, I think Brady House might get up this season.
Yeah, he might get a cup of coffee, but I don't think he's gonna play a huge role on this team. But you have Brady House that's gonna come up. I mean, you're looking at a fucking lineup, man. Um,
And can
even if you
Mackenzie
bring
Gore
in,
please break through this season, bro?
yeah,
He's
man.
so fucking nasty. I don't understand how he doesn't strike out 17 per nine and pitch to a 2.5 ERA. I
It's
don't
hard
get
to
it.
pitch in the big leagues, brother.
It's hard to pitch consistently in the big leagues.
But yeah, their starting rotations: Mackenzie Gore, Jake Irving, Mitchell Parker, Trevor Williams, Mike Soroka, and DJ Hurst. Brother, those guys are gonna get outs, man. Um, I really like the Nationals. I'm really excited to fucking tune into with them. And you have a Med Rosario who's gonna plug in everywhere. He's gonna definitely get at least 100 games in. So I really like this team. I really do. Um, Keibert Ruiz, he's too good to suck. So I think Keibert Ruiz is gonna have a good year this year. Luis Garcia is so good, man. So
He's
good.
really good.
Dylan Cruz
I
is going to win
think
an MVP. So is
okay.
James Wood. Both of them are going to win MVPs by the time their career is over.
What college did Dylan Cruz go to? I talked about it.
Louisiana State University.
Yeah.
James Wood was drafted
What
out of
did
high
he
school.
win? What did he win when he was there?
The Golden Spikes.
Yes. And did they win a national title his senior
Yes, they
year?
did.
Good. Good. Who else was on the team with him?
Paul Skeens and Tommy Tanks.
Nice. And Jordan Thompson, by
Yeah,
the
and
way,
Jordan Thompson.
played him in high school. Helix High School stud.
But yeah, I'm really high on Dylan Cruz. I'm really high on James Wood. I'm really high on CJ Abrams. I just wish he can fucking just start fielding better. Um, Nathaniel Lau, I think you bring him back. I think
We'll see
Nathaniel
how he
Lau fits this
performs.
ball this
We'll see
this
how
this
he
well.
performs. Yeah.
You have too many young guys. I really think you should bring back Nathaniel Lau. Even Josh Bell if he has a good year. And if not, if those aren't your plans, definitely flip them to a contender if you're not contending by the All-Star break. And you're definitely gonna get something back for both of those guys that they put in,
If they
760, 770
contend,
OPS.
if they contend, do they go out and are they a destination point for some big free agents next offseason?
Who
Because
is a
there's a
free
lot of
agent next year?
Framber
I think
Valdez,
Dylan
Dylan Cease,
Cease,
Michael
Michael
King,
King,
Vladdy
Kyle
Guerrero Jr., Kyle
Tucker,
Tucker. Well,
Bo
I don't think they have the
Bichette.
cap. Actually, they do have the money for Kyle Tucker. They
Yeah, they
offered
did.
Soto 450 fucking million.
Yeah, they did. Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, stuff those are the likes of
I
some
would
guys who are free
love to
agents.
see Bo Bichette on this team and move him to second base and Luis Garcia to third, and then flip Trey Lincecum and
Brady House
Brady House for
for
starting
Tariq
pitcher.
Skubal.
I don't know. Sure. He's not going to be on the market, but
But
sure.
as far as an offseason grade, man, I mean, I think I don't know. I don't want to grade them at all. I guess I'll give them a C because you don't really get
Just give him a
much.
B because they didn't mark
Yeah,
they didn't
they
block
didn't
any of
block
their
anybody.
their young
They're
guys,
not going to compete. They know that they're not going to compete.
and
So
they got a
what's
good
the
vet in
point?
Nathaniel Lau.
Yeah, they did.
All right, let's move on to the Marlins because the Marlins are an F because they haven't even spent a dollar.
Okay, so they
But they're not
got
even an F because
Albert Almora Jr. They got Eric Wagaman. You get William Kepner from the Giants, Matt Mervis from the Cubs, Marion Boyd from the Phillies, Starlin Caba from the Phillies, Max Acosta from the Rangers, Brian Mendoza from the Rangers, Shenry Vargas from the Rangers. And with that Rangers trade, you gave Jake Berger, and with William Kepner, you got international bonus pool from the Giants. With Matt Mervis, you got because you traded Vital Brujan, and then
Vidal
Marion
Lujan.
Bode and Starlin Caba was in that Jesus Luzardo trade.
So I really like Matt Mervis, by the way. I think he's gonna be good.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for him to break out. He was a Chicago Cub prospect, got caught up, got torn up in the major leagues.
and they
But
didn't lose
I like
anybody.
Matt Mervis. Yeah.
I mean, they're just in
Um,
the middle of a long fucking rebuild.
Peter Bendix is gonna do Peter Bendix thing and flip assets
Everybody,
for prospects,
yeah.
and hopefully this development team over there in Miami starts developing someone because they Connor Norby looked great. Griffin Conine looked great. Um, I think Matt Mervis is going to be a great addition to that lineup. And obviously you got Yuri fucking Perez
And Sandy
and
Alcantara.
Sandy Alcantara, who I kind of hope they flip, but I kind of hope they don't. But I just imagine what they could get for
And you
Sandy,
have
man.
Ryan Weathers too, Max
Ryan
Meyer,
Weathers broke out this
Edward
past season too.
Cabrera.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to compete soon, but
No, but
they're really
it's
good on paper.
really good.
Xavier Edwards is okay. Connor Norby's
I
great.
think
Jesus
Edwards is going to
Sanchez
be
kind of
solid.
sucks. Jonah Bride kind of sucks.
Yeah, but those guys
Griff,
aren't in their future
Griffin
plans.
Conine, he's all right. Davison De Los Santos, I mean, we'll see. Kyle Stowers, he's the prospect hug, man. I feel bad for Kyle Stowers. He's barely in his second year, and he's already 27. It's tough. Otto Lopez, he's all right. Nick Fortes, he's just your catcher. But they just have a really good farm. They have a good farm system, man.
It's starting to grow because
Yeah,
Peter Pendix is there. So I'm excited to see their young guys play this year, play through the ups and downs of being a major leaguer and being a young player. And
yeah.
I'm gonna probably watch way more Marlins games than I should because Sandy
Just because you want to watch
Alcantara and
and
Yuri
Yuri
Perez is there.
Perez and Ryan
And
Weathers. I fucks with Ryan Weathers, brother. He throws hard as shit.
no, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He throws hard.
He does not throw hard.
Yes, he
Where are you getting
does.
this information from?
My eye test when I was watching highlights of Ryan Weathers earlier.
From the 2020 playoffs?
Bro, he's sitting 95.6. Is that not hard?
I guess. That's just like regular nowadays. I mean, he's in the 70th or
But he's a
75th
lefty.
percentile.
But he's a lefty, brother.
Shout out Ryan Weathers, guy.
I like Ryan Weathers. I'm a big Ryan Weathers guy. He gets comps to Tariq Skubal.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap up this episode. Shout out Ryan
Bro,
Weathers.
he's averaging 96 on his fastball.
95.6 is his fastball velo.
No, he's averaging 95.9. So I rounded up to 96.
It's 95.6,
I'm
brother.
on
You're
Savant
tripping.
right now and it says 95.9.
Brother,
You
it
have to go
says
all the way down to go
95.6.
all the way down to pitch tracking where it tells you what they sit at.
Okay, in 2021 he sat 93.9. In 2022 he sat 93.5. In 2023 he sat 95.1. And this season he sat 95.6. Okay, he throws 95 miles per hour. That's an average fastball in baseball. So yeah, I guess he does throw hard. But shout out Ryan Weathers.
And
That's
Ryan
gonna
Brazier is
wrap up
Chicago
this.
Cub.
That's gonna wrap up this episode. Um, Finished with the grading series. We're gonna move on to top tens, which is gonna get dicey. It's gonna get spicy and it's gonna be fun. Um, what position you want to start with? I'll let you pick the first position. Are we gonna go in order or what
We'll
are we gonna
start with
do?
second base.
Okay, so we're just gonna go
To the boring
completely out of
ones.
the fucking order
Yeah, we'll go second base.
because that's what Andrew wants to do. So we'll do
Yes.
second base
If
first.
Gleyber Torres is in your top 10, fool, I mean, I don't even know where this podcast is going.
I think he's gonna be number 10 or around that range. Oh, and we'll do one or two honorable mentions.
We'll do one.
So we'll do
10,
a top
10
11
players is
list.
a lot.
So we'll do a top 11 list since we're doing
Yes.
one honorable mention. All right.
Yes.
So that'll be next episode. Like and subscribe. We've
How about
posted
we
a
do
couple
something fun? How about instead of an honorable mention, we just say our favorite player from that position of all time?
that's not in the top 10.
But that's just a
Oh.
fun guy. That's just
No, we
fun.
had to do an honorable mention.
Man, you're no fun. 10 players is a lot, but I'm down.
I mean, we got to do what we got to do, brother.
Type shit.
Top 10. No one says top 20. No one says top 12.
Top 10.
It's top 10 or top 5. And
Type shit.
top five's not enough for some of these positions.
Absolutely.
All right, then, y'all.
I'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Peace.